This is Angela with Progress Permaculture. Welcome back to Hausfrau Friday. This is a regular weekly segment where I talk about the issues surrounding sustainable domesticity. Now, whether or not you're a homemaker, I hope that the things in this segment are applicable to you because we all have homes that we have to live in and care for. A message that I communicate to my teenagers on the regular. We all are responsible for the care and maintenance of the home that we all share. Now, today's video may be a little bit scatterbrained. I'm actually really late filming it because I am just struggling to get everything done and I am dropping balls left and right. And I had to deal with a quick phone call right as I was sitting down to film where a lovely woman had ordered a knitting pattern from me, and I just have not checked the email inbox for probably 2 weeks because I've just been so overwhelmed, and I didn't realize that she had ordered it, and I had to go in and really quickly send it off to her. So Lois, thank you. Thanks for being patient with me. You might be wondering how I decide what to talk about on this channel because it can seem rather eclectic, even though in my brain it all makes sense and all folds in together. One of the things I love about permaculture is how it is applicable to all aspects of life, human communities, our individual selves, the way we produce our food, and the way we interact with nature. And for me, that kind of overlap between my permaculture framework and the principles and ethics that I use in permaculture and the practical running of my household just really mesh up and sync very nicely for me. I have found they complement each other well. And in an ideal world, I would be really successful at both of those things. They would all marry nicely. I would use those principles and I would apply them, and it would all just work like seamlessly and wonderfully. But real life doesn't work that way. And I know in the past year, I've maybe not complained, but I've tried to be honest about what's going on in my life and the obligations I have taking care of my dad and my sister and my own health issues, and how that makes it really hard to function, not only as a homemaker, not only as an unschooling mom, not only as a small business owner, but just the day-to-day struggle to get up and get going and do what needs to be done. And so normally I keep a long list on my phone of topics that I want to cover on this channel, either things that people suggest to me, or if I read something online or in a book or hear on a podcast and it kind of sparks my imagination, or something happening in my garden or something happening in my real life. So again, that kind of eclectic mix of subject matter. And I typically plan out several videos ahead of time and I have them ready to go. And sometimes I will sit down and not know what I'm going to talk about until I start filming. And it just really depends on what is happening in my life. So I have several upcoming Hausfrau Friday videos that are a little bit more of a deep dive. I'm going to talk about the book More Work for Mother, which is old, but it is still highly relevant about the introduction of more kind of convenience appliances and technology, and how that actually hasn't made life for homemakers better and easier, and it has not reduced our workload. I would like to talk a little bit more about the value of the unpaid labor that homemakers do and how it keeps society going, especially when we look at how to fold that necessary labor into the permaculture design of sustainable communities and eco-villages. Those are two kind of meaty subjects I have coming up, but I'm not ready to talk about them today. I haven't finished doing the research. I haven't really coalesced my thoughts well enough. And so I sat down to film and I was like, I don't know what to talk about. And then I got this phone call and, got a little bit derailed and needing to kind of do some cleanup about how my life is really chaotic. And so after that phone call, I asked my 18-year-old Beeb, what do you think I should talk about today? What do you think that I can speak of from my own expertise? And she said, can you talk about behavioral activation? Because it's something that's really relevant to her life right now and she's been working on with her therapist. So if you don't know what behavioral activation is, it is part of cognitive behavioral therapy. And it's a treatment that's used for depression and anxiety. It is a way of addressing learned behaviors such as withdrawal, an inability to engage, avoidance of daily activities, and rumination, where you are not having intrusive thoughts, but where you are stewing in your own negative thoughts. Behavioral activation can help with that. And so Bee's like, would you like to talk about that? Because it can be really beneficial for those of us who who have domestic tasks and things we need to do in our daily lives that we just don't feel motivation to do. We avoid them, and it becomes this cycle of withdrawal and avoidance, and then stressing about how we need to do the thing, but we can't make ourselves do it. And I thought, kid, that's really good, but something just fell off the shelf. And I thought, that's great, kid. That's a really good topic. Maybe you would like to talk about it, because for me, I don't really struggle with depression, anxiety and stress, for sure. Feeling the weight of existential dread of living in American society, for sure. But I try to only talk about things on this channel that I actually have lived experience with, and behavioral activation is not something I've ever really needed. So I will drop some links below about behavioral activation if you struggle with difficulty initiating tasks because of your mental health. That may be helpful for you, but I can't really give you advice about it at all. I struggle with the opposite. And this is what I've been dealing with lately as a homemaker, as a woman, as a mother, as a caregiver. So I made no secret that I was having surgery on March 30th, and that was really hard for me. I prefer for people to think I am very capable. I need no help. It's very hard for me to accept help. And I prefer to act like, nothing is ever wrong. So I've tried the last few years to overcome my own pride and my own issues that are kind of wrapped up in not telling people when things are going on in my life, and utilize what is called opposite action, or just something that you use in DBT. Again, I'll link some stuff below. In DBT, opposite action is where if you feel anxiety around engaging in a particular behavior, if you feel like you don't want to do a particular thing that you think maybe you should, you need to go ahead and do it, even if it doesn't feel good. Even if you feel like running away, what you need to do is step forward into the action. And so I've been tempted to act like everything is fine and dandy on this channel. And then I say, what I need to do is pause and say, actually, no, I'm really struggling. Taking care of my dad really sucks. It's really hard. And so I thought, well, I'll also share about this surgery, even though I would pretend that people didn't know. So the surgery was easy peasy. I was recovering really well. And then I've had some setbacks where I basically tried to do too much too quickly, and I ended up with some heart problems, and I ended up back in the hospital, and it was a little bit of a mess. And basically what came out of all of that testing, after they ruled out some really horrible things like a blood clot in my lungs and all of those things, is that I have done too much too soon. I have sort of had the opposite of needing behavioral activation. I need to deactivate, if that makes any sense. It's so hard for me to sit and see that things need to be done. Those of us that are homemakers and those of us that are mothers, in particular, I think, have this sense that we need to be caretaking and giving, and that there is always something to do. And that if we aren't always doing something off of our list of to-dos, that list is growing so long we will get, subsumed in this pile of obligations, and we can never get our head above water again, right? Mixed metaphors there, but you know what I mean. So for me, I was supposed to be resting. I was supposed to be taking it easy and recover from surgery. And I just felt so good. And I felt like, shit needs to get done. And I did too much and had a big setback in my recovery. And that has meant I have dropped even more balls. I was already juggling too many things. It's meant that I dropped more balls. And so I'm still struggling with that quite a bit. I'm supposed to be taking it very easy. I made an easy crock pot dinner today of curried lentils with sweet potato and actually used turnip greens. And instead of making something more complicated for dinner, or instead of making, some kind of homemade bread to go with it, I'm just gonna make a pot of rice because that's easy and quick. I'm trying to find all the little ways I can do less. Easy one-pot meals, let things go, like deep dusting and decluttering, and try to spend more time resting. I'm having to let things go in the garden, and that's really, really hard for me. So when we're talking about how some of us may need that behavioral activation, some of us may need help on this end of the spectrum, I think it's also common for homemakers to be on the other end, where we can't chill out when we need to. At least for me personally, that has been a big struggle, and I am paying for it right now. And as my best friend Trish would say, I'm probably being really insufferable because I get really grouchy when people tell me to sit down and not do something that I want to do. I don't like my body telling me you have reached a limit and we will not let you go any further. I don't like to be hemmed in. I don't like to have limits. And as you may know from me talking about permaculture, and like the limit doesn't exist in terms of our abundance, but our bodies have actual physiological limits. And when we pour emotional stress and we pour physiological stress, it can manifest in things like, your heart not working right. And it can manifest in real serious physiological consequences. And so that's where I'm at today. I did not prep a video. I did not finish researching. I could have been up really late last night reading. I fell asleep at 8:15. I could have gotten up even earlier than I got up this morning and finished the research and filmed my more work from other video. And I didn't. I'm just trying to let go of things, even though it feels uncomfortable. I am embracing opposite action and doing the thing that doesn't feel good, because it's probably the thing that I need to be doing right now, so that in the long run, I can feel better. And I just want to encourage you, if you're a homemaker and you're struggling with either of those things, if you're a human being and you're struggling with either of those things, I am feeling low, and I'm feeling low energy, and I'm having trouble getting going and motivating myself to do the things that need to be done because I'm under a lot of stress. My mental health is struggling. We're all under the weight of lots of political and societal and economic pressures right now. Life is not the way it should be, and I can't function because of it. Or maybe you're on the other end where you are under the stress of there is more to do than I can possibly get done. I'm under the weight of societal and economic and political pressure and feeling like, if I don't hurry up and do everything, everything's going to fall apart. And so you're kind of hyper productive and you're kind of having trouble stepping back and engaging in the kinds of behaviors that will benefit your body and help you continue in the long run. If you're in either one of those groups, I want you to know that you're not alone. I think both of those are very normal reactions to the stress that we're all under. And I would just encourage you, either way, if you are a homemaker, if you are a caretaker for other people, society needs you and depends on you, but also your value is not just in what you do or don't do for other people in society. I've said this many times on this channel, your own life really matters. Your own quality of life really matters. And so, I hope that the takeaway from this video today is that I'm struggling, I'm dropping balls, I'm scrambling, and I'm still needing to remember that there are forces outside my control that I have to decide how I react to those forces. I can't change those forces. I can only change my own response. And that's okay. That's the reality of what it's like right now, I think, for a lot of us. And I hope that you can be gentle with yourself. I hope that you can extend the kind of grace to yourself that you need and deserve to get through this period of time that we're all in and whatever stressors you have on your own life. I'm going to try to practice what I preach, and I hope you all can understand that I'm a bit of a hot mess right now. I have all of the good intentions, and I am trying to remember that if I have all of the follow through, I will run myself into the ground. And so I'm having to let some things go, and I don't have a better solution for that. Let's remake society so that we have a framework in which we're not all scrambling all the time and we all have the support we need. How about that? Anyway, I will be back really soon. I have some videos coming out this weekend that I hope will be helpful for you all. I hope that you are taking care of yourself and that your weekend is enjoyable, and I will be back very soon. Thanks.